announcing the Young Conservationist of the Year Award. And this year, Joshua Gilbert, we're introducing to you, a Warramai man from the mid-north coast of New South Wales, using his Indigenous wisdom and values alongside his own agricultural history and experience as a farmer to inform and to shape us all. Formerly the chair of New South Wales Young Farmers, Josh is an innovative and passionate advocate for renewable energy, and I actually heard him talking on the radio this morning, so I can certainly attest to those words. And really revolutionising the way that we look at, think about and understand the intersection between agriculture and Indigenous issues in Australia and beyond. He believes that by understanding and incorporating Indigenous values into modern society, we have the opportunity to create a world of real sustainability, prosperity and abundance for all. He's already been involved in numerous advocacy and not-for-profit organisations, including Earth Hour, Australian Red Cross and the Rural Fire Service. Most recently, Josh led the New South Wales Young Farmers Council in moving a climate change motion at the New South Wales Farmers Annual Conference. Naturally, my interest was pricked by that sentence. Wouldn't have been moved by the old farmers organisation, but that's why we're celebrating his efforts tonight. The motion attracted the attention of Al Gore, who asked Josh to be a part of his Climate Reality project. And his resulting video, Australia's Young Green Farmers, was viewed in over 75 countries by over 100 million people. His agricultural podcast, Tractor Talks, has been downloaded in 10 countries. Josh is definitely a bright new voice, one of responsibility, reconciliation and positivity. Before we welcome Joshua to the stage, let's see him in action.
Josh Gilbert is one of the country's most influential young farmers. The 23-year-old put climate change on the agenda at this year's New South Wales Farmers Conference and won majority support.
I think young farmers have always grown up with the idea of climate change. We've learnt it at school, we've engaged with it quite a lot more.
What our motion did was transform a very conservative view of climate change actually not being real. The resolution that we passed was that New South Wales farmers acknowledge there's more variability exacerbated by a changing climate and support its members playing an active role in this issue, and that was passed unanimously.
What Joshua and his colleagues are doing is shifting attitudes more generally in the rural sector. When people from these walks of life start talking about the risks of climate change and that we need to do something about it, people certainly listen more than they do to politicians. They probably listen more to these trusted voices than they do to climate scientists.
My family have been farming the same way for over 40,000 years.
Aboriginal people, such as myself, have a real connection to the land.
So it's really important to me and our family that people can continue farming for 40,000 years into the future.
Australian Geographic Society Young Conservationists of the Year, Joshua Gilbert.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start by acknowledging the Gadigal people, one of the 29 clans of the Eora Nation, and paying my respects to the elders of the past and present. I'd particularly like to acknowledge the Indigenous youth, those who will inherit the world and will have to use the knowledge passed down to them to rectify the mistakes by mainstream society in the past and today. I'd also like to acknowledge the role that my work colleagues at PwC's Indigenous Consulting play in keeping our Aboriginal and Torres Strait culture alive, particularly through sharing knowledge and wisdom with the youth. I'd also like to start by thanking those who jointly shared this award, those who have supported me and the wider Climate Network to achieve much needed change. To my mum, dad, sister and partner, Thank you for always being there to hear my crazy thoughts, pushing me to be more than who I am, and Mum and Dad probably secretly funding half of my agricultural climate work for the last 2 years. To my family, friends and mentors, thank you for your constant inspiration and pushing me further, promoting and working towards a better future every day. To my work at PwC's Indigenous Consulting, you play such an important part in protecting and teaching Indigenous culture and knowledge to our youth, and have provided me with the opportunity to pursue my advocacy work, including the day of today and tomorrow, so thanks. The broader climate movement, who have welcomed farmers with open arms. Your support and drive to protect our environment deserves all the attention it can receive. And lastly, but probably most importantly, to the farmers who have spoken out so publicly against the wider industry. Your courage is one of the most inspiring acts I've ever seen. I was introduced to the world of environmental advocacy and activism just 2 years ago. An invitation to be part of the WWF Climate Change Cookbook, which has led me on the most incredible journey to share my story and the wider Indigenous and agricultural storylines to create unprecedented change in the way that we work together and are publicly conceived. From knocking on the door of every politician at Parliament House that would let us in, attending the COP21 climate talks, to filming a documentary for Al Gore's Climate Reality project, the environmental movement proves there is hope for a better world. In just 2 years, we've seen over $500,000 move from the environmental sector into the agricultural industry for climate research. We've established some of the first relationships between green activist groups and farmers. We've had farmers actively speak out against the agricultural industry and recently ride a horse across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And we've created some of the first proactive agricultural policy in the world. It's certainly been a journey of change and hope. Yet for me, the greatest moment came filming the Al Gore doco under a tree with my dad, just after watching the birth of a newborn calf. With over 40,000 years of agrarian practices passed down onto the land in which we farm today, sharing the cattle that we love with the world, and dreaming 40,000 years into the future is a memory that will stay with me forever. Like most climate activists, embracing the world of activism has meant understanding and acknowledging where to draw lines in the fight to protect what we know we have left on this world. It's the rush we get when we publicly protest, the nerves that kick in when we finally get to ask that politician a pointed question, and the tears of joy that we share when we get the outcome we very well deserve. The life of a climate activist has been to keep pushing for change, fighting for what we deserve as global citizens. It's the thrill of the fight that excites us. It's the rallies when we get to stand as one, the joy as we march in solidarity to create change, and the piercing sound of the microphone as we group to the words we need to keep on pushing. But while the fight has produced results in the past, no longer can we publicly punish the government and dictate to politicians what they need to change. Our climate crisis is beyond this. While our politicians are an important voice of change, we can no longer let them restrain us from what we need most, true action on climate change now.